Ohio. Hey everybody, I forgot to mention during the recording session originally, but heavy spoilers for the events that occurred during season 3. I don't entirely talk about everything, but I do reveal the identity of the murderer, so if you don't want to be spoiled, then please click off the video, I guess, or just come back once you're done and, I don't know. Do whatever you want. Enjoy the video. Bye. So, I spent the entire weekend binge watching 13 Reasons Why Season 3. And instead of doing anything productive, I seized all production. And, which should have been the weekend that I finished playing the Blue Lion's house in Fire Emblem. I ended up lollygagging the entire weekend just because I got so sucked into this show. And was it all worth it? I don't entirely think so. So, a bit of backstory to how I got sucked into this show, because this is not really a show that I would really spend a lot of time watching. But it all started with a bet between, not so much a bet, but I guess a compromise between Terry and I. Who, she said that I'll watch one of your Japanese dramas and you can watch this show that I really like. And so I watched her show, and then she watched mine, and then I continued watching her show, but she did not continue watching mine. And if you're wondering what that drama is, it was Good Morning Call. It's up on Netflix also. So, anyways, so that was back when season 1 first came out, and then season 2 came out, and God, I just really wanted to know what happened to the character of Tyler after the incident with that cliffhanger. But I guess because of controversy surrounding gun violence in real life and everything that's happened since then, and then the story, the meta story of what happened when they launched season 2, like being on the same weekend that a really bad school shooting occurred, that they probably were forced by the studio or by the staff within the group to take the story in a different direction. And I guess that has to do with the Bryce Walker death storyline, and I have major problems with the structure of the narrative. See, I get off I get off on watching these types of dramas just because I love criticizing characters. I get off on just watching them be stupid assholes and just laughing the entire time of decisions that could easily be avoided if they events that could easily be avoided if so and so decided to talk to so and so and such, and then I love getting off on characters that are written to be dramatic and cool and feel very fan fiction-y, and just because you could just see like how in real life they would not be that type of character. And one of the first things with this season was that a lot of people did not like the character of Ani. Every time that I would go on Twitter and see what people were saying about the show, the only thing that you would see is just that Ani sucks. And I don't know, I liked her. I liked Ani. I think that I liked her better than Hannah, but I guess that's just my opinion. Ani was integral to the story first and foremost. I think that it's probably a good place to start. Ani was important because she was not in the drama surrounding Hannah Baker. She was important as a lifeline between the Walker house and the stuff surrounding Clay. So she was kind of like the glue that would kind of let us know what is going on inside the Walker house, because everybody else was against Bryce. So we couldn't know what would be going on inside the Walker family. All of that was kept private, and Ani was our window into the affairs going within the house. That's why she needed to be a part of the story. And also, they took this because they decided that they were going to go in this direction of making Bryce a sympathetic character. We needed to see somebody who wasn't there for the Hannah stuff, who is brand new and isn't tainted by the events that happened in the previous 2 seasons. That's why Ani was there. It was to kind of give Bryce the chance at the redemption arc. And that's kind of the problem with the overall narrative, is that you, not you the viewer, but the writers, you guys made this character sympathetic. And I understand that if you're going to go and tell this murder story, it's easier to make the story more interesting if you make the character sympathetic. And that's probably the problem that is really prevalent through the story. It's just that, well, Bryce is dead, and that really sucks because I felt bad for him. While you guys spent the entire first 2 seasons painting him as this monster, this irredeemable monster who walks off at the end of season 2 scot-free. And then we see how the consequences of his actions that are later on catching up to him. And I understand what he did was horrible. It's really bad. There's no easy way to come back from it. There's no way to just go and say I'm sorry and then just and then all is forgiven. Like, the show spent that time showing us that it doesn't work that way. But within the character of Tyler, he says something that's very interesting that kind of fumbles the whole point. Bryce is dead, and we'll never know who he gets to become. There is no redemption arc for him. He was in the middle of his redemption arc and he got killed off. And so that is what gave Tyler the strength to continue to live. But in the process, we seen Bryce trying to do the same thing, and it was ripped away from him, and in such a way that it doesn't do justice to the previous 2 stories. Now, I get it. It's not a very good story. I understand that. If you go and talk to anybody who's a critique of storytelling, they'll tell you that it's like, well, it's kind of like, it's teenage fluff. I get that. I get it. But at the same time, they are still trying to tell a story, and they did try to tell some type of narrative that was trying to give justice to or start a conversation with people who have dealt with the issues that these characters in this story have dealt with. And there's no taking that away from them. Look, Netflix has even gone and edited the controversial scene from season 1. They've gone and done that. The staff, like, they fumbled in their approach to dealing with, like, telling their story and taking it into the meta. They fumbled it. Like, people criticized them and told them, like, hey, this is what you properly need to do, but you guys don't do it. So the people listen, and now, like, they have the crisis resources hotline and stuff, like, on their website. They have it at the beginning of the season, telling you, hey, if you're about to watch this, you might want to watch it with somebody that you can trust, watch it with a friend, watch it with family, such and such. And then they tell you, go get help if you feel like you need it. Like I feel like they're trying to do their best, but at this point, season 3 is no longer about the stuff dealing with Hannah Baker. It's so far removed from it that it becomes laughable. I actually just really got my kicks off of just watching these characters act like if they're early college students or mid-year college students or something. They don't act like high schoolers. I refuse to believe that high schoolers act the way that these characters act, because there's just no way. There's just no way. Okay, so my big problem with this story, with season 3, is yes, I said the Bryce redemption arc. It sucks. You guys gave this guy a sympathetic look and then you killed him off, and now it's like, well, that really blows. But apart from all of that, it's the way that they killed him off that really sucks, because this whole season was just so insistent on being a murder mystery that we're not supposed to know who was the actual murderer until the end of the season, that by the time we got there and we find out who the murderer is, the season's over. And they spent all this time trying to frame Clay and have it be Clay, when you just know that it couldn't possibly be him. And then like just throwing out all these characters just like, I will kill you, I will fucking kill you, I will kill you. Like, that's just so... Nobody talks like that. So the writers spent all this time, like, I think it's like through episode 7 all the way until the very end, convincing us or trying to like have everybody point the finger at Clay, like, oh, it's Clay, oh, but no, it's not Clay, like, that was not necessary. There was no tension there. We obviously knew that Clay wasn't the person. We knew that the Clay wasn't gonna go to prison. Like, there's just no way that they were gonna do that. That wouldn't have been satisfying. And then at the same time, we know that the murderer is still at large. So it was just pointless. It was just unnecessary fluff. I feel that what they should have done, and it would have been in spirit with the first 2 seasons, is have us find out who the murderer was early in the season, maybe like episode 6, maybe episode 7, right around when the Clay stuff would begin, and have the kids figure out how they were going to solve this. Okay? That way we can get into the psychology of, or exploring the character of the murderer. I know that I've been pretty heavy on the spoilers, but if you watched up until this, I mean, spoiler alert, it was Alex. It was Alex, and Jessica was a witness. They're the murderers. Throughout the show, we did not see anything about Alex apart from him going and hanging out with Bryce and getting drugs from him, and then just deciding that he's a monster. Like, dude, you suck. Don't talk to me anymore. And he walks away from him. That's the last we see of Alex until it's time to wrap up the story. What they should have done is have us figure out that it's Alex in the middle, and then we can see how it affects Alex, how all of this is affecting him, not how it's affecting Clay, because Clay didn't do it, and then have Clay play the hero if they're so insistent on it. And apart from all of that, deciding at the very end that they're going to blame it on Monty, that the kids are gonna survive by creating a scapegoat within Monty, this guy who is a horrible person, who's done horrible things, And but still the writers decided that, like, hey, you know what, there's more nuance going on here. Like, look, Monty is a jerk, he is a horrible person, but it's also because he comes from a tough home. His dad beats him, he gets in fights with his dad, and he's also a closet homosexual. Like, yes, I understand the nuance. But then they also try to kind of redeem him, or kind of give him this little moment where the guy that he beats up midway through the season, the two of them hook up, and you get to see a semblance of a good person there. like like it just makes the main cast just look like a bunch of assholes, because this guy who was just about who was working towards a redemption arc, who was at the start of his redemption arc at the end of the season, where we see him go and hook up with that guy and not, and apologize to him properly, and start a relationship with him. You guys go and kill him off in the next scene. So all of this just feels like everybody who was a jerk, or who was an asshole, or was a horrible person in the previous two seasons, you guys started redemption arcs for them and then just stopped them. And and then the main characters, the ones who we've seen through the first two seasons, and who have had their redemption arcs from season 1 to season 2, and then you guys go and make them assholes because they got away with murder. They got away with murder by creating a scapegoat within Monty. And how is that fair? Like, especially when you're writing characters, and especially when you're writing stories with such as Hannah Baker, who got no justice. We spent 2 seasons exploring the Hannah Baker story, and then in the end of the season 2, she walks off with no justice. Bryce gets off. He walks off scot-free, and like that's not right. It's not right, especially when the person who by season 3 is realizing what he's done wrong, and is trying to become a better person. By the end of it, like, the story wasn't about Hannah Baker anymore, and all of these characters who were affected by Bryce go and kill him and then get away with it by creating a scapegoat. It just doesn't feel right. It just feels like this story about justice and morality, and helping people come to terms with real life ugliness. It just turns into some murder mystery teenage drama bullshit, and it's not satisfying. It's not satisfying in any way. So, yeah. Anyways, I feel like I had to make a video about this because I literally did not work at all this weekend, and it was like, well, if I spend all this time talking about watching the show, I might as well go talk about it, right? It'll mean something to somebody, even if it's not to my core audience. Hopefully, it'll find somebody who likes this type of stuff and can also like the stuff that I actually do make. So, anyways, rate, comment, subscribe. Let me know. Did you guys watch 13 Reasons Why? Yada yada. No, I'm sorry. That's so insensitive. But seriously, if you guys did watch the show, and if you guys wanna share your thoughts, please let me know, because I do enjoy the show. It's something that Terry and I do together, and while even though, and despite her not being into the stuff that I'm into, and me not being into the stuff that she's into, this is kind of like our middle ground, and it's a nice time for both of us. So yeah, I'll probably go and check out season 4 also, and I'll probably likely watch it with her as well. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you guys in the comments if this video does well. Anyways, bye, cha.